can I really get behind a race car and just start driving? And like a typical engineer, he figures out that shortcut essentially the time that you spend racing and figuring out how to do setups. Let's make something hardware, especially for the sim racing pros. Many of our competitors are exactly what you said, large corporations. We actually understood that our market is not only the pro sim racers. We have a lot of, and you can go whenever you want. You can upgrade all the way to 20s. At the low levels, we are losing money. Start talking about it. There is something cooking. It's a project currently called One Sim.
Hey everybody, Ray from VRS. I'm here today with our CEO Alex Mungov. Today he's going to answer a lot of questions that you guys have, plus some that we think you guys want to know. The goal for this podcast and many in the future is to bring insights into VRS that previously have been kept behind locked door, but now we want to bring them to you. So today we welcome Alex and all of his great expertise and insight into the company. Welcome, Alex. How are you doing tonight?
Hey Ray, doing great. Thank you for having me. Excited to be on episode 1.
Episode 1. This is how we all get started, right? It's got to start somewhere. Yeah. And today you get to share what I think is a great company. I've been here for a few months and I've learned a lot, but now you get to tell us all of the things that we probably want to know, didn't know as VRS grows. So you ready for some questions?
Yeah, we're in VRS are pretty private. I'll tell you that. We usually don't share much insight of like what's happening. So we're trying something new and we think it's going to be really good for the community in general to understand why we're doing what we do, where we stand, what we're all about kind of situation.
I think that's absolutely excellent. At the end of the day, it helps bring people to you and understand this is not just a sim racing company, it's a community. So I think with that, we'll jump into some questions. Are you ready?
Ready. Kick it off.
All right. So how about this? Let's start off easy. Let's give you a light one. Who is VRS or who are VRS and why does VRS matter for the future of sim racing?
I think that's a great question. It essentially is going to get us right where we started, right from the beginning, right? What a better place to start than just the beginning. Look, VRS started, believe it or not, just from a dream. And we can operate even today a little bit like this, just like we started. So our founder, his name is Peter, friend of mine. So he is European born, just like me. I moved to the States 20 some years ago, in my 20s. And just like me, he also kind of grew up in Bulgaria, Europe. And like every boy there, we grew up with a lot of racing and like dreams about cars. And Formula One was very big when we were growing up.
Yes.
Both of us were big fans of Formula One, but he took it to the next level. He always dreamed of not only participating in a Formula One, but being a Formula One world champion. No joke. He tells that story till today. And I mean, I know him, but for the people that don't know Peter, he used to be this kid back in the day that he grew up watching racing, and he grew up in a family where he did a lot of tinkering with his dad. They would solve projects together. They would work on things together, like small projects using their hands, kind of an engineering projects, And then he got really into coding. So he started writing code at the age of 11. So by trade, Peter is a software engineer. He writes code, and that's why he went to school later as a software developer and came to the US, worked for one of the biggest software developer companies here. And he lived in the Silicon Valley. And the Silicon Valley, he kind of came across a racing community. They were doing kind of kart racing, go-kart racing, and they took him to a racing truck, a karting racing truck, and they would just do very much hobbyist, once a week racing, And that really kind of got him into his dream. I want to be racing, real life racing one day.
Okay.
So at some point after a lot of karting, he figured out that it's time for him to invest, maybe get a race car, get on the track, do some track time. But he didn't know if he has the skills. Like, can I really get behind a race car and just start driving? And he liked to push the limits. Whatever he does, he wants to be the best at it.
Okay.
And we kind of still have this in VRS. Whatever we do, we took that culture out of him, and like whatever we do, we try to be the best of it. So he figured out that he needs some kind of coaching training before he gets in a real race car. And that's how he discovered sim racing. So that must have been the year of 2011. I fact-checked that because I looked at his iRacing. I have his iRacing profile, yeah. And it says, sure enough, November 2011. So November 2011, he finds iRacing. He gets some basic hardware equipment and just kind of sits at home and gets into the sim racing. And like a typical engineer, he figures out that it takes a lot of time to be good at this, right? And he's trying to be the best. So he's like, oh man, I think there is a gap here and we can help people by shortcut that, and kind of figure out how can we create a software that is going to help you be better, get faster. And that's what we do even today. That's how the motto came.
Absolutely.
So, yeah. VRS was very much a software company that started selling subscription to our setups and telemetry. And the idea was that he wanted to give back to the community, people like him, become professionals quickly. Shortcut essentially the time that you spend racing and figuring out how to do setups and figuring out why this hot lap was my best lap, how did I do that, analyze that, and that's how the telemetry came. So the next step was like, all right, so we got the software, now what about the hardware? Can we improve the hardware? And that's where the hardware, we start making hardware. So again, from a little dream, from a little boy,
that's how it always
and like
starts.
many kids out there, he just wanted to be the best.
So being the best for him was his drive to start VRS. And again, just helping with tools. Like, let's be honest, like I'm a casual sim racer. I want to be fast, but you gotta love the engineering people like to go, hey, wait a minute, there's a gap here. Like, I don't know how to set up a car. I don't know how to put in enough wing, enough downforce. I don't know how to set up my shocks and struts and all of the things that you would do to set up a race car to be ready to get on track. And that's what VRS comes in. Not only do we show you how to set it up, but then we go, hey, here's how you did in your best lap. Here's how the best drivers did. And here's the gaps in your, so that's great that he saw that gap and filled it, because clearly anybody who's raced in anything knows that's always a tough one to get through.
Absolutely. And now look, this was not an easy kind of overnight thing to do, because he also had no idea how to do any of those things. So he essentially reached out and found a community, very small community, that was 2011, 2012. It was still kind of in the very early days of sim racing, and he found the pros. He found racing pros at that time. He hired them, he worked with them, he became one of them. So the software and the hardware after that essentially was all built for that small top level sim racing pros. It was not built for the very much beginner entry kind of level person. After that became how we can get you and train you on to get faster and using the best equipment. But as we're gonna talk probably in this conversation, we evolved, and it was a long road. We started with, let's make something hardware especially for the sim racing pros, And
as you said, the first start was to be a pro. Like it had nothing to do with people like me, people just coming in. And that's how many times things begin. You go to surface one person and then everybody else like, hey, I like that. I want a piece of that too. And then it expands from there. So no, that I think, again, those stories, as you said, started from a little kid, wanted to be a real racer. And now you're seeing people who use our equipment who actually are real life sim racers that are pros at 9, 10, 11K and iRacing and things of sorts. And you also have professional drivers that get on track and use our software to get them ready for the actual races, which is really cool to see as a person working with VRS, how that takes place. But let's get to the next one, because you kind of touched on it. How large is VRS? Like, is it a big company? I mean, a lot of people see, they think, oh, if VRS, they clearly got to be a big company, or you see the Moses and the Sim Magics and they seem like big corporations. How big is VRS?
Yeah, many people think VRS is a big company, and we're actually small. We are like a highly focused team of about 30 to 40 people, depending who you count as, we have a bunch of coaches. Some of them work part-time, but
right.
So yeah, we are very small, 30 to 40 people, highly focused, and many of our competitors are exactly what you said, large corporations with thousands of employees, hundreds of employees, so we barely scratch the surface.
Mm-hmm.
And, that's a little bit by design as well. Because the larger company creates a lot of overheads and brings the cost up of things, yes, they do have the capabilities to develop and produce much quicker things, but we like our small team, and we think, we always follow that mindset. If we're going to be doing something, we have to be the best of it. Right. And yeah, people perceive we're big, I think, just because we're one of the oldest companies. Since, again, Peter started 2011, the company was founded in 2016, but before, a lot happened before 2016 even, like the engagement with the community, with the pro sim racing community, So yeah, we're fairly small.
Wow. 30, 40 people. Okay. And again, I'll tell people this, like when I came on, like I had this expectation that VRS was this massive organization. And then you get in the first team meeting, you're like, wow, that's a pretty small team. And then you realize, like, people like myself who are, part-time, but it's like, this is a very small team, but everybody's so laser focused on how do we do this? How do we do that? Like the customer service, talking with people in the Discord community, being able to say, hey, if you have an issue, no worries, we'll get you taken care of. We send out a replacement, no cost to the, customer, get you back up and racing. So again, the motto is get fast, faster. Well, we want to get the stuff to you fast as well, so you can get back on track. So I appreciate that as a user. I bought the DFP 20, over a year and a half ago before I started working here. And I can say as a consumer of the stuff, it definitely has been good. But I want to pivot. Yeah, trust me, it's been, something I've learned on as a customer myself. But I want to pivot here for a second. So clearly developing hardware, right? Like you put out these bangers, like, you make the DFP 20, the community loves it. And over time, it gets so much better. The price per Newton meter, amazing. Then you put out another banger. You develop the VRS pedals. The community loves them. They're like, wow, these pedals are great, like amazing. And then we come to the Formula wheel. And that's this wheel here. I want to share it for people so they can see what it is. The Formula Elite Pro comes out. And initially, this comes out and it's a little expensive. And there's a lot of pushback in the community. So what I'm asking you is, what did VRS learn from the pushback you guys got from that wheel?
Oh, boy. So yes, we released that wheel at the initial price of 999 euros, US dollars everywhere. And people were sticker shocked. They're like, how can I afford this? But hear me out. I mean, again, I would not say it's a mistake. It was not a mistake. We built it for the pro level racers, for the top pro level racers that they just needed they didn't care about the whistles and bells. They needed
Hmm.
something that is commercial grade, sturdy, very reliable, consistent, and just has the minimum features that they only need. That's it.
Hmm.
And that's what we did. The quality of this wheel, I still claim that is one of the best out on the market. And probably this wheel is going to outlive most of us because it's very sturdy wheel,
Hmm.
very sturdy.
I will agree.
But again, we were kind of building at that time for the pro racing community. We were building for us, being a pro racers, right?
Hmm.
So we were building for us, we were building for the community, and then we released it, and we realized that the pros, they loved it. I mean, we participate in some world championships, and people
Hmm.
won with our hardware. Like
Awesome.
consistently, our hardware performs for the people were winning with that.
Yeah.
But then we realized from the feedback of the community, and like we actually understood that our market is not only the pro sim racers. We had a lot
Hmm.
of beginners and mid entry, what we call sim racers, and that kind of made us adjust. So even today we're selling this steering wheel at somewhat of a loss, and
Hmm.
it's an amazing deal. but
Yes.
but look, we're connected to our community very much, and we learn from what we've done,
Hmm.
and that's why we released the new version just a month ago, 2 months ago.
Which
And
is this?
yeah, there you go, the R295. Yeah,
Okay.
exactly, that's what we're talking about. And this came at a much better price point, and it still has a lot of whistles and bells. Still has the same performance, right?
Hmm.
And I think that's our lessons learned from the initial Pro Formula steering wheel. That's
Okay.
what happened.
So the pivot was, hey, we developed this wheel for the top of the line pro racer who's like, listen, I don't need LEDs. I need clutches that function, that work every single time. I need shifters that I can map to how I want to use them, really high grade buttons so I can do the job I need to do, reliable, sturdy, will last a lifetime. And that's what they want, which again, like you said, makes sense. But then VRS, it seems, has grown into to the beginner and intermediate driver. So yes, you got the pros, but the rest of us were like, well, wait a minute, what about us? And VRS said, listen, you know what? We made this for pros. And from an outside looking in at the time, I remember going, wow, you lowered the price really quickly, which I think would definitely is a good say. You know what? We learned, we listened, we took your feedback, and now we have, again, I'm going to pop it up on screen for people to see the brand new R295, which has really high grade in many areas, especially when you compare it to the competition, and allows you to do things that many in the competition cannot, especially when you add pass through data and power. So I will agree that that was a good pivot. But again, that's, the community will have to decide what they think, but I think it's good to know. Let's
Yeah.
pivot to the Universal Direct Force Pro 20. Now, I've had the Direct Force Pro 20 for over a year and a half. In fact, to get it, I got on a payment plan so I could get it because I
Yeah.
had a competitor one myself and it was not working well. So I upgraded to the DFP 20. Love it. But then you bring out this upgradable Direct Force Pro 20. So, two-part question. One, why does it exist? And two, is it just like a light version of the DFP 20?
Great question. We've been chatting a lot with the community about this. It was something new that they haven't seen yet, and I
Hmm.
think the initial association was with the automotive industry.
Right.
But before I even get there, let me tell you. Look, the DFP 20 was exactly like the Formula steering wheel as well, the Pro
Hmm.
Formula steering wheel. It was built and it's still built for the pro sim racers, for that top level sim racers that need top performance, right?
Hmm.
It was our first product too, because we realized that this is one of the most important parts of the sim racers, like
Hmm.
of the rig, right? Because that's how you feel that you're really on that racetrack. That's what connects you to the real racing, essentially, you know. And it's very durable. It's gonna probably also outlast many of us, you
Listen, it
know.
is. I agree.
Yes, yes. But again, we heard back the same feedback, like 20 Newton meters, and we realized that we have so many clients and customers that are into that entry level, mid level, and they don't start usually with 20 Newton meters. They start
No.
with 6, 9,
Mhm.
12, and it's like a journey, right?
Right.
But then what do you do with that? You buy a 6 Newton meter wheelbase. I mean, you probably have it for, I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe 3 months, maybe a year. And at some
Right.
point, you're ready to upgrade. So you have to like make a decision. Do I go to 9? Do I go to 12? Do I go to 15? Like, what do I do next?
Right.
Well, you got to dispose what you bought, which
Yeah.
probably at that point, you cannot recover those money. You have to just put it somewhere in the house to collect dust, scrape it, sell it for a fraction of what you got, right?
Right.
We've all been there. I
Yes,
mean, think
absolutely.
of, yeah, absolutely. So we figure out why. I mean, as a business model, probably it's a horrible idea, to make something upgradable rather than keep selling more and more equipment. I mean,
Hmm.
if you think from pure business standpoint, we better sell you 6 Newton meters and then sell you a 9 Newton meter wheelbase and then sell you a 12 Newton
Right.
meter wheelbase. I mean, if you put all of that cost, it piles up to a significant amount of money,
Hmm.
So it's one of the barriers for people to get better
Right.
because the higher the Newton meters, in many cases, to a limit, of course. We don't want to go
Right.
crazy with the Newton meters either, right?
Right.
And now, some claim 15 is enough. Some say they need 20. Some say more than 20. But most of those are somewhere between 9 and 15,
Right.
Like that's what
Absolutely.
they
I
like.
agree.
Yeah. Yeah. So we figured out, well, how can we make this accessible to everyone and to make it a very good value. It's already a very good
Mhm.
value if you compare the Newton meters to the price, dollar, euro per Newton
Right.
meter price. I think the last I looked was a couple months ago, but we're probably the top value for the Newton meters, top value for
Correct.
your money, right?
Correct.
So we were like, well, how do we make it even more accessible for the entry level people? And that's what we did. We came with this upgradable option. So it's the
Hmm.
exact same equipment. There is not a
Okay.
different version of the equipment. It's the
Okay.
original DFP 20, and it's essentially software restricted at 6 Newton meters. There is an option at 9, 12, 15, and then 20. And you can start at
Okay.
6, and you can go whenever you want. You can upgrade all the way to 20. And
Okay.
we made those upgrades to be totally driven by the customer, right? So I've heard so many people say, oh, well, this reminds me of the automotive industry, like BMW and
I've heard that.
Mercedes,
Yeah.
they put us on subscription for the heated seats, and Mercedes now has actually the electric car. I think there is an option that you can also pay subscription fee to unlock the real tires to turn higher degree. Look, that's not what we're
Right.
doing. There is no
Right.
paywall. This is your equipment. You can decide to upgrade or not. That's the beauty of it.
Right.
You can start with 6 and you can always keep it at 6. There is no requirement. There is no monthly subscription about this. You pay what you see, you get it, you use it. You decide to upgrade it, you decide to sell it to someone else, and they want to upgrade it, it's an option. They don't have to invest a lot more money, throw this one away,
Right.
So
I
that
have
was the
personally
idea
been there.
behind it.
That is great to hear. I've personally been there. Between the UDFP 20, I started out and I've had 5 other wheelbases. So the DFP 20 I think makes the 6th one. And I had to sell it at a loss, like you said. Every time I got a wheelbase, I had to sell it at a loss. So I want to go back to something you said. You related it to the car model. And I know I've heard that say, well, people in these subscriptions. Well, one, like you said, it's not a subscription. You buy the wheelbase. If you buy it at 6, you can have it at 6 for the rest of your life and never pay another dollar. Or if 2 years later you go, you know what, I've been rocking 6, I've gotten really good, but I'm missing some force feedback. I'm missing some, something in the wheelbase. I'm gonna go to 9 and try it. And then you go to 9 and you can stay there for the rest of your life. There's no push to upgrade. It's your wheelbase to do with as you want. And the great thing about it sounds like for me as a user, is it allows people to step up at their own time, have one wheelbase. And if you want to think of a car analogy, to me, it's I buy a Lamborghini off the lot and they give me 200 horsepower. And that's the only limitation. I can drive a Lamborghini 200 horsepower for the rest of my life and I have a nice car. Or I can upgrade every so often, unlock the full engine, and then that's it. It's not a subscription. I still get all the bells and whistles. So I think that's a great way to put it. So I asked you if this is a DFP 20 Lite. It sounds like it's not a light version. It's just the same equipment.
It's the exact same equipment to every single bolt on it is exactly the same equipment. There is no difference in the equipment you get. Exactly.
So at 6 Newton meters though, are you making money? Because that's another argument I've heard that, well, the margins must be so high that you can sell it at 6 Newton meters and still make a killing or still make a profit.
Yeah, look, we're not going to be shy about this. At the low levels, we are losing money. We are simply losing money on the sale, right? And, but again, if we were only after the profits, we would never made this upgradable. We would have tried to sell you more and more equipment,
Right.
The idea here was, let's open this from the pro sim racers to the entry level sim racers. Let's give them a chance to try our equipment. And because we know that we have an awesome value with great equipment, we're pretty confident that down the road that most of the people are going to upgrade. They're going to go to 9, 12, 15, probably 22, So that's the whole deal. But yeah, if we talk about margins, we are losing money at the low torque levels. Absolutely.
Well, the hope is that people, and again, I can say as a consumer who's had 6 Newton meters, you're likely going to upgrade. People are probably going to get between that 12 and 15. But like you said, it's better to get the equipment in the hands of people as opposed to this high entry cost, which again, still for the DFP 20, it's actually quite low when you consider price per Newton meter. Like I have friends who've done the whole list and chart, and the DFP 20, especially since you get to attach whatever QR you want to it, you can attach whatever wheel you want to it, and you can be up and running in no time. So I think that's a great choice by VRS. And again, I wish I had it when I started, because I guarantee you I would not have had 6 wheelbases in the process. But yeah,
there has been a lot of talk about this, and I'm glad you asked me this question. I'm glad we kind of went over it, because we've been trying to respond to the community. And look, we thought about it, like, why should we sell something at a loss, right? Why? But again, it comes down to, we really want to provide value and kind of give back to the sim racing community, introduce people to this, have them try good equipment, and hopefully they stay in the ecosystem, they stay with us, they buy some other products. That's
absolutely
it. Very
simple. Like you said, the DFP 20 has been a hit for the longest. The pedals have been an absolute hit. I mean, people love them. You hear people in the community talk about how much they love them. So that makes me excited as somebody on the inside who's excited about all the things to come in the future. So another good question here. How can the community contribute to the future of VRS? Because we have this Discord community. We have people who support us, who watch us, who offer feedback, who create channels for people to tell us how their setups are and just share so much. How does the community give back to VRS and participate?
Look, it still comes to how we initially started. We started as a community. Peter got in the pro sim racing community. He hired people. He would collaborate with pro sim racers to develop the software and the hardware. And this still holds till today. We're still a community, and we still want to be part of the community. We actively listen. We can be reached through social media, Discord. Discord is we have a whole channel, and we have a lot of customer support that helps in Discord. We did alpha testing event last year in Cologne. Social media, it's a great way to kind of get in touch and give us a feedback. We want to hear. We definitely want to hear. Just the example you talked about, the upgradable DFP 20. A lot of people said that's amazing, it's a great, but there were some said, why are you doing this? Is that an subscription gimmick? I want all my equipment. So we had that discussion with them over those channels. I would say how the community can contribute is to the future is just tell us, keep engaging with us and understand that we're a small business. We need your help in a way. We want to build for the sim racing community. We want to introduce sim racing to, people that still dream to be part of some kind of a motorsport club or want to try some racing but don't have the guts to go and buy a race car. Yeah, reach us and tell us what you think we should do next. Tell us how we can show them the value that they really want to have at their homes.
Absolutely. And I will piggyback on that. Since I've been here and seeing you guys create different channels, I think that's been really cool. In fact, we can't share what's coming, but we can say, and I hope you'll agree with me, that we have things that you guys have asked for in the community that are on our list of things to create for you. Literally, people have asked, if you see a thumbs up by somebody, trust me, it is on our radar. These are things that we're talking about, and these things happen in conversations to bring the best value to you. So I will say in my short time here, it's amazing to see the list of things that the community have stated and what's on the radar of things to come out here in the future. So that's pretty cool to see now that I'm on the inside. So that's pretty awesome.
And we are very grateful for that. I have to say, VRS is very grateful. I speak from the entire team of the engagement we get in the community, and we love it. So thank you, everyone.
Absolutely. Keep it coming, people. This is a good one. And this actually came from the community. How's VRS planning to expand the ecosystem? So we've got 3 wheels. We've got 2 wheelbases, a set of pedals. We've now got an entire rig that people can purchase. We've got dampers. We've got QRs. We've got pass-through. We've seen reviews of the DFP 15 go out, and let's be honest, really positive. The data and power pass-through has been really well. In fact, I've got a litany of wheels myself I've used it with. It's great. What's the plan for VRS in this entire where do you see this going, and how do you see it expanding?
Yeah, we definitely had a dry spell. For a few years, we did not release anything new. And then last year, we suddenly released new rig, seat, we released steering wheel, another wheelbase. Yes, absolutely. Good question. But I'll go to that. It's not only hardware. We technically have almost 3 different pillars in VRS. Everything started with the software, the telemetry, right? We have the coaching, one-on-one coaching program. Not too many people know, but we actually recently heard the community said it's too expensive. There are other options out there. So we heard and we lowered the price actually. I don't know. We don't really advertise that much, and we probably should.
Yes, we should.
Price now, it's absolutely cheaper. You get 2 times more from what you used to get before. Okay. So I encourage everyone to go check our coaches. Are top level of everything. Highly recommend them. I use them myself, as well.
Yeah.
But back to the software, we actually. I'm gonna let a little secret out that we haven't really started talking about. There is something cooking. It's a project currently called One Sim Racing, which is kind of an app that would is gonna initially integrate directly with iRacing and maybe later with others games, and combining telemetry overlays. It's gonna be into iRacing. It's gonna be And we have a big vision for this. We think it's soon going to become a platform that's going to connect the community, and it's going to I don't want to say too much at this point, so I guess I'm just going to stop right now. Maybe that's a whole different episode down the road we can do, but yes, there is something coming on the software and telemetry because we have not done anything new for a while, and we've been cooking this for a very long time. And I think we're at the point that soon we're going to release something new.
That sounds awesome. No, I'm going to spill the beans. I have been using One Sim Racing. And the one thing, if you don't mind me sharing it, I think is the easiest part of it is there's no more going to the website to download your setup. It literally just, you load it, you put it on your desktop, it loads in the background. You load up the sim, all your setups are already there. That was the biggest, oh my God, I don't have to go to the website. it just pulls it. So it's really sweet. I can't wait for people to see it and use it. Thanks for letting a little cat out of the bag.
Yep.
So,
but I want to go back to the hardware as well.
Exactly. I was about to ask.
Because I think that was your main question, like what are we going to introduce? And we've definitely been historically focused on GT and Formula, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, after again, our founder Peter wanted to be a world champion in Formula, right? So,
right.
But now I think it's time that we expand into more disciplines, and with that, I think more hardware is going to be coming soon. And I don't want to say exactly what and when, but on the list we have round wheels, handbrakes, shifters, and more. That's all I'm going to say for now. We're working on it.
Round. Yes. I wonder why somebody would need a round rim. I could think of a few disciplines, so I guess we'll leave it there. I won't go any further.
Let's leave it there. Yep.
So, I did have one question from the community that somebody else asked, and I'm going to grab it here since I have it. Actually, I think we've asked all of the questions here from the community. And yeah, so I'm going to ask one question myself because clearly I've now been working here for a little bit.
Yeah, you had a little bit of inside view.
Absolutely. So, being somebody new to sim racing, right? If somebody comes in, they're new, they know nothing about the community, and they're saying, you know what, VRS seems like this great company. I want to ask questions. And they jump into the channel, right? This is a very simple one. Who do they ask? Because I know there's always we have the general questions area, but sometimes things can be lost there. Now, I do know that going on VRS.racing, that's a great way to reach somebody and contact us. But if you're new and you have questions, how should they get in touch with us to ask those questions?
Yeah, great question. And we haven't been very good for the very new folks out there. We're kind of more of established in the sim racing kind of, I would say, mid-level, and the pros, they definitely have to reach us, and that's the best way is probably through Discord and email. So we've been working on our website, we've been working on our social media outreach. So I think all of those are fair game these days. Like, I'll start with the website. We've made some improvements. We continue to improve daily, essentially, our website. But there is an option of like contact us, and we have different drop downs on the contact us form.
Yep.
We have resellers contact us there. We have digital creators want to be part of us or work with us, collaborate with us, and there is a lot of questions that we also answer. So send us inquiry. We read every single email. And if it's something that we can see it's urgent and we really need to kind of get to you, you hear from us quickly. Absolutely. Then the next thing is social media. We follow social media, we track comments, we read comments. Hit us on social media. We're very active. We're active on X, we're active on Instagram, on Facebook, we're active we stream a lot. Twitch, we're big on Twitch. That's another channel that we don't talk much, and I missed earlier to kind of mention. And Discord is a great resource as well.
Yeah.
Internally, we even use Discord for our internal communication. As you know, like we have some close channels that it's only VRS.
Yeah.
But yeah, there are many ways to reach out. And look, part of the outreach we're gonna start making more and more, and again goes with our founder. His dream to become a real race car driver, right? He didn't know where to start either. Many people don't even know about sim racing,
Right.
So this is gonna become even more and more hot topic. We sponsor a lot of real life racers, and they start to kind of showcase our hardware. So people do reach out and want to find out, how do I start? How do I get going? Reach our website. The website is kind of split into two sections. We call it Academy, which is a subscription business essentially. This is where we kind of teach you, how do you start sim racing? How do you get the basics? How do you get setups? How to install the telemetry? We give some free track maps where you can figure out what is the right racing line for each of those trucks, There is a lot of resources. We're gonna put more and more resources. We're gonna start putting more and more articles of like what should you be looking when you're buying hardware, for example. A big question, for a newbie, how do I choose the right hardware for me? Like why those Newton meters matter? Do I need these pedals? Do my pedals have to be highly adjustable, right? Or can I just buy a very cheap set of pedals or wheelbase? Yeah, absolutely. And those are very fair questions. And we always try to kind of make more content, and there is going to be more articles coming. Yeah, so don't hesitate, reach out.
Absolutely. Well, with that, before we end, I'll say this. I got this wonderful gig, I believe, by reaching out on that same email to be a social content creator. So I will say that it works on my end. And this is in many ways a dream come true. Never thought I'd be working for VRS in the sim racing industry. This has been a fun ride so far. I look forward to the future. So I can tell everybody, reach out, contact us. You'll see me in the chat, answering questions and helping people and getting on calls and walking people through setups and things like that. So we all have a different skill set and expertise. We bring them together here at VRS to help you guys. Alex, you've answered all the questions that I've had for episode 1. So thank you for this. Any closing remarks before we end this wonderful Q&A?
Yeah, look, I really want to thank you. Like, we're first of all very happy to have you, Ray. Thank you for reaching out. It's been an amazing journey. Closing remarks. I want to just kind of tell again the community. Look, VRS is a small, passionate team. We are not the big corporations. We are a bunch of racers, engineers, builders. We have a lot of real life racers on our team that are also sim racers, that are also engineers. They're business professionals. They do marketing and accounting and finance, and we're a small team. We need the support of the community. We are not after profits. We wanna definitely grow the company so we can provide more value to the customers, to our community, and we really want to stay connected. So reach out, give us some feedback. We want to hear positive, negative, everything. It's important to us, and everything is going to be read. And yes, we're listening, we're hearing you, we're actively working to make things better.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, Alex. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for watching episode 1. We've got more to come. We may have Alex on again on these wonderful VRS podcasts. But thanks again, Alex, for tuning in and answering all of our questions and providing honest answers to all the things we want to know. All right, everybody out there, thanks again, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye.
Thank you.